Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for UFC 307 in Salt Lake City, October 5th. I can't wait for this fight card. It's much deeper than the last pay-per-view. As always, I'll be going through the prelims and the early prelims a little bit quicker, and then I'll spend more time on the main card and especially the main fight because the X's and O's in that one are incredibly interesting. I'm using the UFC's website, so I apologize if these fights aren't in order or if I'm missing any fights. Blame the UFC. I'm using their website. They have the first fight of the night being the women's strawweight bout between Carla Esparza and Tisha Pennington. No longer Tisha Torres, Tisha Pennington. Both Penningtons are on the card. I hope they both get a win. I think Tisha Torres is going to win this fight. I have her winning by decision. Both of these women, a little bit more on the boring side of female fighters, so I understand why a lot of you guys are going to skip this fight and maybe not watch it. I really like Carla on the mic, but her fighting style is a little bit boring, so this one, not going to be a barn burner, but I got Tisha Torres, or Tisha Pennington, sorry, winning by decision. Next up, we have a middleweight bout between Cesar Almeida and Ihor Potera. Ihor Potera is 28 years old. He's 20-6, I believe. And he's a great kickboxer. Cesar, 5-1, I believe. So a bit of a discrepancy there in experience, but great on the ground. He's a little bit older. I think he's like 34 or something like that. I tend to side with the younger fighters when I think the fights are 50-50. So I'm going to take Ihor by decision. But this is a 50-50 fight. It could go either way. It should be a fun one because it's grappler versus striker. Then we have a women's bout, strawweight bout between number 6 ranked Marina Rodriguez and number 14 ranked Aisman Lucindao. Now, Marina Rodriguez is a very violent fighter. I love her style. I think she's one of the more fun female fighters to watch. She's probably going to be the favorite, and it's probably smart to bet on her, but I'm going to take the other chick, Aisman, because she's 16-5 while only being 22 years old. For having that much experience at that age, I think that's tremendous. She seems like an up-and-coming prospect that could do great things in that division. Now, she is a bit small for strawweight. It's the smallest division for women's, but she's still a bit small for that division. I think she's only like 5 feet tall, but she's very violent, and she's a fun fighter. So I hope she gets this done. I'm going to take her by decision. I apologize for making so many decision picks tonight. It's just the way the matchups are. That's just how I feel. I want to be honest with you guys. So there's going to be a lot of decisions. However, the main event, I don't think ends in decision. I think that absolutely ends in knockout, but we have a couple more fights to talk about before we get there. Next up, we have a women's bantamweight bout between number 2 ranked Ketlin Vieira and number 3 ranked Kayla Harrison. So the champion, number 1, number 2, and number 3, all in the women's bantamweight division are on this card tonight. However, I think Kayla Harrison could probably beat all 3 in the same night. I think she wins this fight with Vieira pretty decisively, probably a first or second round submission or TKO. She has so many different ways she can win a fight. You know, she's 34. She's like right in the prime of her career. I really want her to get the belt and defend it a couple times. She already has an amazing career behind her. Kayla Harrison is probably in the top 5 female MMA fighters of all time. She's really that good. And yeah, the main event, I love Rocky, but it's kind of a wash fight. Kayla Harrison will be the champ very soon. She's the best fighter in this division by far, in my opinion, and I think she'll get this done pretty quickly. So next up, we have a featherweight bout between number 6 ranked Movsar Evloev and number 9 ranked Aljamain Sterling. Now, if you guys know me from this channel, I'm a huge fan of the Russian fighters, so I'm probably going to take Movsar in this, especially with how Aljamain and Jan's fight went. That still leaves a sour taste in my mouth, so I hope Movsar gets revenge for that. I think Jan should have been champ all the way up until the Merab fight. I really think he beat Aljo and Sean, Aljo in the rematch, and obviously the first time. But I'm going to take Movsar Evloev. I know a lot of people don't really like him because he's more of a decision fighter, but for a decision fighter, I think he's very entertaining. The Diego Lopez fight is a prime example of that. That fight was a barn burner. It was incredibly fun to watch. And I'm going to take Evloev in here by decision, although Aljamain Sterling could certainly get this done. He's a monster on the ground. He's a huge threat. Even though Evloev is great at wrestling, if this goes to the ground, he's in huge trouble. I think Evloev should keep this on the feet and stay striking with Aljo the whole fight, and I think he can get it done. He's more of a well-rounded fighter, and I think he has more ways to win. So I'm going to take Movsar in that one by decision. And then we have the number 10 ranked Roman Dolidze versus number 15 ranked Kevin Holland at middleweight. This is a fun fight because it's grappler versus striker, but Kevin Holland, obviously he's a striker, but he can grapple, and Dolidze is a grappler who can strike. His last fight with Anthony Smith, he won mostly through striking, and I'm going to take him by decision in this one. Now, by all means, Kevin Holland could definitely get a knockout in this fight. We've seen what he can do before. He's got power in his hands, and he's incredibly accurate. I think that's what makes Kevin Holland the fighter that he is he's incredibly accurate. He puts things on people's chins, and if he can find Delitse's chin, it's going to be a short night for Delitse, but if this goes to the ground or if it's a longer fight, I think Delitse has enough to get this done. Kevin Holland is a black belt on the ground. Black belts, I use air quotations there because black belt's a pretty diluted term nowadays. Kevin Holland black belt and Roman Delitse black belt are very different. But yeah, I'm going to take Delitse by decision in this one, but it's a very close fight. It could go either way. Then we have at bantamweight, the number 10 ranked Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista, ranked at number 11. Now, Mario is a problem. He's 14-2, 3 wins by knockout, 6 wins by submission, 5 of those in the first round. He could easily finish Aldo in this fight, and Aldo is getting up there in years. He's 38, 39 years old now. Those are the years where fighters tend to slow down quite a bit, and this could be a bad fight for Aldo. However, in Aldo's last fight, he looked amazing. He showed us that he's a different kind of 40-year-old fighter. He still has a lot of speed. He still has a lot of power. And I still, for some reason in my heart, I still feel like that guy could fight for a title tomorrow and maybe win it. He's one of those rare 40-year-old fighters who doesn't really look 40. So I'm going to take Jose Aldo by decision again, sorry. But I'm a huge fan of Aldo, and I think he has enough tools and enough veteran quality to get this fight, to get the win in this fight. So next up, we have a welterweight bout between number 9 ranked Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and number 11 ranked Joaquin Buckley. And this is going to be a really fun fight because both of these guys are really fun strikers. They both have knockout capabilities. Stephen's getting up there in age a bit, so I'm under no illusion that Joaquin Buckley's a better striker than Stephen, but Stephen, with the age, he might be slowing down a little bit, and that might close the gap. And Buckley, we've seen with the ninja kick, he's got some things in his repertoire. He can knock just about anybody out on any given night. And if Pettis can knock out Wonderboy, Buckley could get the knockout here. He could have a big upset, and that's probably better for the sport. It's probably better for the division if Buckley wins. I just don't see Wonderboy winning a fight against anybody in the top 10 at welterweight. It's just too stacked right now. But I'm going to be cheering for Wonderboy, but I'm going to take Buckley by decision. Unfortunately, I hate to bet against Wonderboy, but I'm hoping for him to win. Next up, we have a women's bantamweight bout, the title bout between Raquel Pennington and Juliana Pena. And like I said, this fight for me is a little bit of a wash because I think Kayla Harrison could beat both of these fighters probably on the same night. And I'm going to be cheering for Rocky. I like her a little bit more, especially on the mic. She just seems more real to me. And she showed me an incredible amount of toughness in a lot of her fights. You know, the Nunes fight for me, that really showed me how damn tough Rocky is. You know, she took an absolute beating in that fight, and she kept fighting. So I really like Rocky. I like the spirit that she brings to MMA, and I hope she gets the win. So I'm going to take Rocky by decision. Then we have the light heavyweight title bout between Alex Pereira and Khalil Roundtree. And I know a lot of you guys are probably just skipping to this section of the video because this is the fight we all want to hear about. Right now, the odds are minus 455 for Alex. I think that that's kind of ridiculous. I'm somebody who's been watching Khalil Roundtree for the past, 6-7 years. I've been watching Alex Pereira since Glory. And, I've watched their progression. And, you have to acknowledge Khalil Roundtree's progression. He's also in the prime of his life. He's 33, 34. Alex Pereira's 37. He's kind of getting up there in age. Now, I know he's an Amazon warrior, so it's a different kind of 37. And he has that power in his hands that's probably going to carry probably into his early 40s. So I think Pereira still has like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 good years in him left, despite his age. But Khalil Roundtree's in the prime of his life, and he has been a completely different fighter the last 5 fights. He's finished 4 of his last 5 fights in KO or TKO. He hasn't shot a single takedown in those fights. I don't even know if he shot a single takedown in his UFC career. This guy stands on the feet, and he's a kickboxer. He will strike with you. He's a Muay Thai kickboxer too, so that makes it interesting. He's got nasty elbows. He's got nasty knees, and if he mixes that stuff in with Pereira, that's going to be a key to his keys to his path to victory, I think. Another couple things with Khalil Roundtree that you have to realize is his punches. His punches are very, very hard, and he can knock out just about anybody. Now, he has very nasty uppercuts that tend to shoot out a bit more. They tend to have a range on them that are a little bit deceptive. So he might be able to sneak some of those uppercuts in on Pereira. He also has really nice hooks. Now, Pereira has kind of a little bit of a bladed stance, and he pulls his shoulders back and his head back, so he kind of got this like cobra style, and he keeps his hands lower, so it's harder to tell where the punches are coming from. It's a brilliant style. It works for him. I wouldn't recommend it for any beginner, but that Pereira style is great for kind of pulling back from straight punches. Now, sometimes when you loop a punch, you get hooks or overhands coming at you. It's a little bit harder to tell the range and what's going to hit you. And if things sneak around Pereira's guard, especially if he has his guard down, I think the hooks could be a problem. That's how Izzy knocked out Pereira, was with hooks. So Khalil Rountree has some pretty nasty hooks that could be a problem for Pereira. What I think could be a big problem for Pereira is actually the kicks. That's where I think this whole thing's going to be really interesting to watch. Khalil Rountree has nasty kicks. He's got a very good front kick that he can land to the body or to the head. He's got a great roundhouse kick that he throws very fast. It's very snappy, and there's very little read on it. You watch how Jiri throws a kick to the head. There's a lot of read on it, and it's a bit slower. Whereas when you watch Khalil Rountree, it's fast, snappy, very little read. I think he might be able to land a head kick a little bit easier. And if he lands a head kick on Pereira, man, there's very few people that can take a Khalil Rountree head kick. Now, the kicks of Khalil Rountree really excel in his leg kicks. So we know how good Pereira's leg kicks are. He has those calf kicks, those dirty calf kicks that he throws them kind of awkwardly. He throws them with very little read as well, but he keeps his leg rather stiff, and he comes around the leg. So he hits the calf muscle on the side, which hurts a lot more than hitting it on the shin. However, you watch how Khalil Rountree fights. He keeps that front leg up. He keeps tapping it on the floor like a Muay Thai fighter, and he will be checking kicks. And if he checks a couple kicks from Pereira well, that might screw up Pereira's leg for the whole fight. It might even break Pereira's leg. We've seen that before with guys like Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman, right? We've seen guys break their legs from getting a leg kick checked, and Khalil Rountree will be checking leg kicks. I promise you that. Not only that, but Khalil Rountree has leg kicks of his own that are very deadly. He doesn't just go to the calf. He'll go to the thigh as well. And when Khalil Rountree kicks your leg, it's more of a wind-up. It has very little read as well, much like Pereira. Pereira has a little bit less read. That's why his calf kicks are like some of the best in the game. But Khalil Rountree hits you with more power, I find. He chops down on those legs, and they are deadly. Not only that, but he has the oblique kick to the knee, which is very mean. So he'll throw it from the inside, like John Jones, and kind of inside kick your leg just on the knee or just above the knee, and that could screw your leg up pretty badly. But he'll also stomp on your knee. He'll turn sideways and do like a side kick down through your knee. And we've seen him end fights like that. One of his TKOs, he literally stomped the guy's knee out. So you want to talk about leg kicks in this fight. Man, it might favor Khalil Rountree. Khalil Rountree might get the better of the leg kick battle, and that might be where the whole fight plays out. Like, these guys are very even on the feet. We like to look at Pereira's record, especially in MMA, and think that it's rather clean and he's just been running through guys. But you look at his kickboxing record, as dominant as he was, and he was a 2-division champ in glory, he does have losses. And if you pick his losses apart, he's been beaten on the feet before. And so has Khalil Rountree, but I think this is a different Khalil Rountree. I think after he went to Thailand, his mentality changed, his body changed, everything changed. He was a completely different fighter, and I think this fight is very 50-50. Now, for my official pick, that's where it gets tricky because I'm probably going to be swapping back and forth every single day up until they walk into that cage and actually start fighting. Because for me, like I said, 50-50, I can't really make up my mind on who's going to win this. I think both guys have a tremendous amount of power. I think if you think Pereira's a knockout artist, Khalil is also a knockout artist, and he is fully capable of knocking out Pereira. So both guys are fully capable of knocking each other out. Both guys have very high striking IQs. Both guys have very mean techniques, very mean leg kicks, especially Khalil. The way he stomps knees is like, a lot of people think that kick should be banned. I don't, and it's not just because I'm a John Jones fan. I think you should be able to do almost anything inside the cage besides, like eye poking and hair pulling and those kind of like really dirty tactics. I think most things should be allowed to go. I think you should be able to kick grounded opponents. I think all that stuff should be allowed. So my official pick, I'm going to side with Pereira just because he's a champion. He's been fighting champions lately, and he's been very active, and it's hard to bet against him, really. That's the only reason why. If I had to use my brain on this, like I said, it's very 50-50, and I'm probably going to be swapping back and forth because my heart's not really in it on either side, and my brain just keeps going back and forth on this fight. It's going to be so exciting, and we're so blessed to have this fight. Like, really, this is a treat. This is going to be a treat to watch. This is going to be a kickboxing masterpiece for the ages, and I hope it goes 4 or 5 rounds. I hope we get a late KO, and we get to see a lot of action. This is going to be such a fun fight, man. I'm so excited. I wish Pereira was in the Sphere. If Pereira got a knockout in the Sphere, that would have made the Sphere so much better than those 2 main title fights that were a little bit boring. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Who do you guys have winning the main event, and how? Like, what are the X's and O's that you guys see? Because I think that this is a very, very interesting matchup, and I think the people in the comment sections on Instagram and the odds makers, they're not giving Khalil Roundtree the respect he deserves. So let me know in the comments. How do you guys think that fight's going to go? How do you think all the other fights are going to go? And don't forget to like and subscribe. Share with your friends. It helps boost this channel and the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.